listening to LYNC Radio. I'm Jessica Eturralde. In today's episode, we'll head to Kazakhstan, where our Training the Trainers program has empowered local leaders to foster multi-faith dialogue in their own communities. Then we'll travel south to Uzbekistan, where LYNC founder and CEO Wade Kusack recently observed the national elections. And finally, we'll shine a spotlight on LYNC senior researcher Dr. Maksym Vasin and his latest blog. In that blog, Dr. Vasin dives into innovative strategies for advancing religious freedom beyond just documentation, but through education, collaboration, and cross-cultural literacy. Stay tuned. Love Your Neighbor community has recently launched a new media initiative to broaden conversations between those that believe differently. We know that as a society, we need to work together. And how can we do that if we don't take the time to share and listen to one another? Therefore, we're asking our listeners to like and subscribe to our programs and share it with someone you know who also wants to expand the conversation. You may learn more at lyncommunity.org. Today, we're taking you to Almaty, Kazakhstan, where a remarkable multi-faith gathering unfolded just last month. This event was part of a broader effort to promote tolerance and multi-faith dialogue, organized by the Multifaith Club in partnership with Love Your Neighbor community, also known as LYNC, and the Multi-Faith Neighbors Network. Wade Kusack, founder of Love Your Neighbor community, spoke about this remarkable milestone while standing in the middle of a gorgeous Kazakh mountain range.
We are here in the mountains, just outside of Almaty, for a special retreat. It's organized by LYNC community and Multifaith Neighbors Network. While it's not the first time we had a retreat like this in Kazakhstan, this one very special.
While the work began on the ground nearly a decade ago, a highlight of progress happened earlier this year in Washington, D.C. and Phoenix, Arizona, when 30 delegates from Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan came together to learn and grow as leaders. During their visit, these delegates, comprised of government officials as well as representatives from both Muslim and Christian communities, had a chance to experience multi-faith engagement firsthand in the United States. They visited diverse places of worship, observed roundtable discussions, and explored methods for organizing roundtables in their own communities back home. This initiative reflects about 10 years of dedicated relationship building supported by memorandums of understanding with the Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan committees on religious affairs. One of the goals of the Training for Trainers program has been to empower Kazakhstani and Uzbekistani leaders with the skills needed to facilitate similar conversations in their own contexts. As a result, just last week, a group of graduates from the program took the reins to lead this multi-faith event in Almaty. Micah Fries from the Multi-Faith Neighbors Network, who also facilitated the training, had this to say about the milestones of this event.
And what makes this retreat in particular remarkable is for the first time, as far as we're aware, in Kazakh history, this is being led all by locals. We're here as observers. We've helped train them in the past and walk them through the retreat. And now local Kazakh pastors and imams are leading this entire retreat as we see it expanding, not just from this one location, but across the country.
The fact that this retreat was led entirely by local pastors and imams marks a historic moment. For the first time, Kazakh leaders were not only facilitating the conversation, but fully directing it, embodying a sustainable model of religious freedom and social cohesion driven from within.
Национальность. Из притч и из истории Священного Писания мы видим, что
Among the influential voices at the retreat was Father Alexander Suvorov, a participant who shared his reflections on the importance of multi-faith respect and love. He drew on the parable of the Good Samaritan to illustrate a core message, saying, "The Lord teaches us to treat everyone with love." Another person of influence LYNC's representative of Kazakhstan, Pastor Arman Arimbayev, spoke on the uniqueness of the Multifaith Network's curriculum and the value of these gatherings.
The uniqueness of Multifaith Network curriculum is that this is so radical. It's a great opportunity to gather together Christians, pastors, and Muslim imams. It is very uniquely by itself to gather them together. But to go through the same material, to go through the same concept of multi-faith network is outstanding opportunity to create platform where representatives of different religions can work together and build relationship together.
He noted that this kind of dialogue, where imams and pastors can sit together, is groundbreaking for Kazakhstan.
Дінаралық, ұлтаралық қарым-қатынастардың жоғары деңгейге көтерілуіне өте пайдасы.
And another prominent voice was that of Imam Nazirkhan Tashkojayev, who expressed optimism about the positive impacts of the retreat for the country. For Imam Nazirkhan, these conversations represent hope and a way forward for Kazakhstani society, a reminder of the deep value of collaboration and understanding in creating social cohesion. The retreat in Almaty was notable not only for its local leadership, but also for its approach to sensitive and pressing social issues. While domestic violence may not traditionally be associated with interfaith discussions, the Multi-Faith Club chose to bring it to the forefront. This approach reflects a belief that faith communities can and should be a part of the solution when it comes to social issues. The leaders examined the roots of domestic violence, discussed how religious teachings might influence societal behaviors, and explored ways their communities could support victims. Experts shared insights into the resources available within Kazakhstan, including crisis centers and family counseling services. The discussions themselves were a testament to how religious communities, when given the tools and space to collaborate, can be a positive force for change. For listeners interested in how this story unfolds, we'll continue to follow LYNC's efforts as they expand these relationship-building initiatives across Kazakhstan, with hopes to deepen social cohesion in diverse, multi-faith settings. Jessica Eturralde here, giving you a quick reminder that if you're enjoying this program, please like and subscribe and share this with someone you know. Together, we can expand the conversation on building religious freedom, fostering social cohesion, and supporting the marginalized. And now we turn our attention to the country of Uzbekistan, where LYNC CEO Wade Kusack was invited to the country as a short-term observer for the parliamentary elections, which were held on Sunday, October 27th. Kusack's visit took him to the ancient city of Bukhara, where he had the opportunity to observe voting at 4 different polling sites. Beyond his official role, he engaged with voters directly, asking them about changes they've noticed in Uzbekistan over the past decade, particularly since 2014. The responses he received painted an optimistic picture of progress and opportunity.
One voter, a young woman, shared that she now has a chance to travel and pursue her studies abroad, something that previously was out of reach for many people in Uzbekistan. Another voter, a young entrepreneur, expressed his satisfaction in how he was able to start a small business with the support from the government, or actually government-backed loan. Through these conversations, I observed basically an encouraging sentiment among the people. Across the board, voters seem to feel that Uzbekistan is moving in a positive direction with more opportunities and freedoms available for them than in the past.
According to an article published by the Associated Press, parties loyal to Uzbekistan's president swept parliament seats, according to official results released the following day. 5 political parties participated in the election, each represented across numerous polling stations. Under legislative changes introduced last year, Uzbekistan switched to a mixed election system with half of its 150 lawmakers elected from party list and the other half elected individually. The new rules also stipulate that 40% of those running for parliament must be women, a promising sign for gender representation in the country's political landscape. Be sure to follow us for our continuing coverage in Uzbekistan, as Kusack, along with Multifaith Neighbors Network, will be supporting local Uzbek leaders for their Training the Trainers event. And that wraps up our coverage of Wade Kusack's recent visit to Uzbekistan to observe the elections. Up next, we're diving into insights from Dr. Maksym Vasin, LYNC senior researcher who offers a fresh perspective on advancing religious freedom in complex regions. In his latest blog, Dr. Vasin explores how we can move beyond simply documenting challenges to actively fostering cross-cultural understanding and collaboration. Stay tuned for this spotlight. Want to dive deeper into the world of religious freedom building and helping marginalized communities? Then don't miss our new video program, LYNC Interview.
Every religion is a persecuted minority somewhere.
In every episode, we bring you stories and insights from the experts making a difference.
We like to think about religious persecution as some problem that's over in Asia or the Middle East. It's not in Europe, it's not in America. But here's the simple truth, we're all human.
Join me, Jessica Eturralde, as I sit down with inspiring voices from around the world working in religious freedom building.
The main lesson for mainstream society would be to think twice before assuming that religious radicals are necessarily a problem for social flourishing and stability.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel or visit lyncommunity.org and click on the Media tab.
When we support international religious freedom, we are not just upholding a principle. We are protecting our interests, our security, and our values.
I'm not loving my neighbor unless I love them in a language and logic that they understand.
Catch every episode of LYNC Interview. Get inspired, get involved, and together, let's foster more cohesive and safe societies. Welcome back. Today we're diving into an insightful blog from Dr. Maksym Vasin on the evolving landscape of religious freedom. His latest piece takes us into the heart of a critical question. What does it take to build true religious freedom in our world today? Religious freedom, as Dr. Vasin points out, is like any other fundamental human right. It's constantly at risk. While international law provides a framework, the reality of applying these standards differs dramatically from country to country. Local histories, cultural nuances, political situations, and religious demographics all play a part. This has led the global community to focus primarily on monitoring and documenting violations. But Dr. Vasin argues that there's more to be done.
Over the past 10 years, LYNC's efforts have focused on building relationships between representatives of different religions and creating platforms for ongoing multi-faith dialogue. Now, government officials and religious leaders of various denominations in Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan are increasingly discovering the peace-building potential of multi-faith initiatives and pluralistic virtues.
Vasin says that most reports on religious freedom highlight issues but don't always offer actionable solutions, especially in regions like Central Asia, where a lack of societal responsibility and religious literacy make changes challenging. To address this, LYNC has taken a unique approach, pivoting from documentation to active education. Love Your Neighbor community uses a three-pronged approach derived from the principles of covenantal pluralism consisting of multi-faith relationship building, religious literacy, and all-inclusive dialogue. Take, for example, our Train the Trainers program, which we have been talking a lot about recently. Local leaders in Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan are already holding multi-faith retreats, opening doors to new religious organizations, and taking steps toward building religious freedom and social cohesion in their context with their people. Dr. Vasin explains that this focus on building from the ground up, rather than only tracking setbacks, is the heart of LYNC's next big step, our positive indexes. These indexes will be launched in Kazakhstan in 2025 and aim to measure religious freedom progress. Rather than focusing solely on the negative, we're creating a framework for continuous improvement, with each positive step encouraging governments to support religious freedom. A move that Dr. Vasin predicts it may spur long-term change.
I believe it will trigger religious legislation reforms in this region.
In his blog, Dr. Vasin reminds us that building religious freedom is possible, even in countries with different political landscapes. By encouraging both understanding and accountability through dialogue, we can help nations walk the path toward genuine freedom and respect. For a deeper look into Dr. Vasin's insights, head over to our website and read the full blog. We'll also include a link in our show notes. And that concludes this episode of LYNC Radio. In our next episode, we'll hear from Dr. Dennis Hoover as he shares some insights from a talk he gave on a grand bargain for a good society. That interview also includes some compelling case study information. We'll also cover the retreat in the country of Uzbekistan, and we'll look at a very special event in Miami titled The Trinity and Our Political Environment. An inspiring event that brought those with political differences to sit at the table together and have a time of mindful listening and meaningful dialogue. You've been listening to LYNC Radio, a Love Your Neighbor community update. Just a quick reminder that we depend on listeners like you to like, subscribe, and share this program. If this program has given value to you today, please take this quick and simple action. None of us can do this work alone, but we are strong together. I'm Jessica Eturralde. Thanks for listening.